All right, everyone. Welcome to our very first webinar of 2021. As you saw in the invite to this webinar, we canvassed our staff for some ideas on their top tips. Yes, pun intended. And we've come up with some good ones, which we hope you'll find useful. So we've got a lot to get through today, so we're not going to mess around too much, but we'll dive straight in and start to work on some hot tips. Hopefully they're hot tips. Some of you may already know some of these tips. Some of you may know all of them already, but that's okay because you may just need a refresher. And for those who haven't come across any of these tips, hopefully that'll be of use to you. Now, as we go through the slides today, we've got a bit of a key. Down the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see these symbols. So that top symbol there is for admins, and you'll know that the tip that we're giving you is related to admins. The second one for teachers, and the last one for students. Now, some tips are applicable to all of those users in Canvas. Some are applicable to maybe just a couple of them, and some are applicable to just one type of user in Canvas. That should hopefully be obvious when you see the symbol down in the bottom right corner. We'll be sending out a follow-up email to those on our email list with a link through to the recording of this and the slide deck that we're using today so that you can reference it later on. And as far as resources are concerned, we've got a whole smattering of resources scattered throughout the slides. And so we'll be providing that to you as well. So first tip number one. This one, not everyone realizes you can do this, but you can actually link your calendar to Canvas. Now, as you may or may not be aware, Canvas has a calendaring function. It is not a calendar in the sense that you might think of normally, like Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar or something like that. It is a calendar that's focused on the things that exist inside of Canvas. But you can bring a feed of those things like your assignments, any events in courses, things like that, into your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar or your any other calendaring software that you use so that you can actually see them and have it there in front of you, all joined up with your regular calendar. So this is going to be quite interactive. I'm just going to stop sharing for a second. I should also introduce the people that we have on right now. I just realized I forgot to do that. I just got so excited about diving in. So we have Rio, who's on the Priority Services team, Customer Success Manager. We have Sue, who's on our Learning Services team. We have Tori, who is also a Customer Success Manager. We have Eric, who is a Customer Success Manager. And we have Adam, who is also a Customer Success Manager. We're all taking turns today. And we've got a special bonus guest who's joining us via video because she's delivering some training, Connie. She did some recordings for us. So we're going to be sharing some of her tips via the recordings that she shared with us. So let me just dive in and show you how you can link your calendar to Canvas. I'm just going to jump in as a student. And hopefully you can see my sandbox instance there. Now, if you click on calendar in the global navigation, that will take you through to your calendar. You can see this student doesn't have a lot of stuff on their calendar. I got to put some stuff in there for it to look really nice. But if you click on this little link down the bottom that says calendar feed, it will bring this up and you can grab this link in the box here. Just click in there, Control or Command A, and then copy it and then paste it into your calendaring app, and you can add that as a calendar. All right, that's it. That's all there is to it. So you can do that on your phone. You can do that on your calendaring software on Mac or Windows or Linux if you're one of those brave people. And that's all there is to it. And then you'll get all of your calendar feed from Canvas onto your regular calendar. Nice and convenient. All right, let me jump back in to the presentation and continue on.
So Paul, there's just a quick question. What kind of integration do we have between Canvas, Zoom, and Outlook Calendar?
Canvas, Zoom, and Outlook Calendar. That's a very specific question. So at the moment, if you've created a calendar event in Canvas that has a Zoom link on the event, and then you sync your Canvas calendar to your Outlook calendar, you'll see that, let me just get back in the presentation mode so I'm not too distracted by that. You'll be able to see that calendar event with that link in your Outlook calendar. I hope that answers the question. There will be some updates to the calendar. So depending on the, what you've chosen for doing conferences in Canvas, there'll be an update in the future. It was announced, I think it was late last year, that the default will be actually Microsoft Teams in the future as a conferencing option. And you'll be able to organize and schedule a team event, or even a Zoom. I think there will be integration with Zoom and things like that, right from the Canvas calendar there. Okay, next one, dashboard list view. So this is so that you can really easily, as a student, just go to the list view in Canvas. List view is a nice way of having a to-do list of all the things that you've got coming up for amongst all of your courses inside of Canvas. So let me jump out of that again and into my students. And go to my dashboard as a student. And now that I'm back on the dashboard, up in the top right here, right next to your to-do, and you can change from card view, which is the default view in Canvas, to the list view. And when you do that, this is a bad example because the student doesn't have a lot of data in there. You'll see a whole list of the tasks that you have due as that student. But let me just grab this. This is the link that we have in the slide deck. And this will, we've got some images here to show you what it looks like. There we go. That's what it looks like in real life. There's a screenshot of how it looks. So you can see you've got a whole list of the different subjects. You can go through and click on the subject. It will take you directly to that subject or that course in Canvas. And you can click on the actual assessment or the task that is there on the to-do list, and it will take you directly to that task so that you can then submit it or do what you need to do with that task. All right. Next up on the agenda. We have mastering your Canvas notifications. Now, quite often we hear as customer success managers that people sometimes get notifications, the default ones that are set up inside of Canvas, maybe pinging your default email in Canvas a little bit too often. You can actually have a lot of control over that in your notification preferences. Now, it's very important to note that these aren't controlled at the account level for all of your users. They're individual user preferences. So you go in and change your own notification preferences. Everyone can set their own preferences for their notifications. And the way that you do that, I'll dive back in again.
Third time lucky, Paul. You got this.
You go into your account and then notifications. And this should bring up the notification screen. And you can choose, you can see here for due dates for assignments, I get a weekly summary as a student. You can be notified immediately. Let me just go to course content here, or you can get a daily summary, or you can turn notifications off for that particular type of notification. So it's worthwhile going into your notification settings and playing around with that. My preference is, unless it's something really important, like getting a grade back or something like that, Daily or weekly is more than sufficient for most notifications. So yeah, going through and get rid of the ones that are immediate if you don't need them to be, is my suggestion. All right. Now let me dive back in. And I think we're over to you, Adam.
Lucky me. Hello, everyone. Welcome to 2021. So today I am speaking about customizing the Canvas help menu. This is something that it's very simple to do, but if you've got a plan in mind on how you're going to onboard individual users, whether that's admins, teachers, or students, it's really good to set up a really easy play for them to know that there's one place they can go to get all their answers. So I'm just going to share my screen once Paul stops sharing his, or I'll just steal it. Okay, can everyone see my screen there? So as we can see here, this is my own personal instance, but this is your dashboard. If you do have admin access, and you'll know because you'll see the admin shield up there, you'll have the help menu down here. Very easy, click across is customizing this menu. And this will take you inside the admin shopping. So the thing that I'm probably thinking about here is, okay, what am I trying to set up? If I'm purely trying to provide help to Canvas, what I might do is, as I've done here, I might customize a link to the Canvas student guides, okay? And I might just make that available to students, which is a really cool thing. That means that if they're enrolled in a student in any course, they'll see this in their help menu. I've also done this, as you can see here, for teachers and admins. This one here is a little bit different with the mobile app guides. What I've done is I've actually made it available to both students, teachers, admins, and observers. So that means if anyone with any of those 4 roles pops up, they'll also see those in the help menu. The other thing is that I've got this as help, but there's some resources in here as well. So what I can quickly do is I can actually change this, change the icon, update my settings. And as you'll notice on the left-hand side, come on NBN, you can do this. Should get some elevator music for this. That would have been great. Okay, cool. As you can see now, I've now updated this on the right-hand side. As a admin, I've actually created these so my admin can see all these particular ones. But just as an example, I can go in as a teacher, which is this is myself here. Act as that user, and you'll notice that the options have now changed. Another really cool thing that I always recommend people doing is we stress a lot about onboarding courses for particular people. You can actually create a link to onboarding courses like I've done here. Now, this is really simple. All you need to do is, as you can see, I've got an affiliation with golf, so that's what I've done. But what we've actually decided to do here is I've changed the permission levels on that course to institution level, which means anyone with a link can obviously view this. Really great if you're in a place where you're updating lots of resources. It gives either teachers or students of like a Bible or a central place where they can go and see the new things that are happening or things that you'd like to roll out. A really safe area. The last thing I'd also like to recommend for any admins on the call as well is always making sure that you've put links to your field admin console for your field admins and Canvas support if you're in your local number in region. If you haven't got those, you can reach out and do it. If you know what they are, if not, ask us and we can help you out with that as well. But the key one there, make sure all users get access to report a problem. This is key, and you'll find that out when you engage with our support team when they ask you to lodge a case. That's a lot easier to have that there. So really simple tip. My suggestion is when you're thinking about this, have a plan of attack of what you want to do, customize the help menu last. And that is me done.
Thanks, Adam.
On to you.
Awesome. So, testing sys imports in beta environment. I think we're over to Eric for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Paul. So as a Canvas root account admin, one of the superpowers that you've actually been given is to do sys imports. And so for those of us not familiar, sys import actually allows you to upload and integrate data from your student information system or any other complex databases or even simple spreadsheets as CSV files. Now, admins can use this feature to create or actually make changes to things like users, accounts, courses, enrollments, logins, and a whole heap of other different things. Now, throughout your time as a Canvas admin, you actually might be tasked with identifying the impact of any changes that you might be looking to make to the sys import. And these things can range from the change of user display names, course names, or even enrollments, just to name a few things. Now, by testing the sys import changes by the beta environment, your school, your institution, or your organization can continue to operate without fear of downtime, due to any potential unwanted effects or any unexpected changes. But you'll also be able to analyze and identify and also confirm that the changes you've made in the new sys import actually correctly align with what you're looking to achieve. Now, the beta environment allows admins and your instructors actually to explore new features before they become available in the production instance. Now, the beta environment is also refreshed weekly over Sunday here in APAC, and all the data in your beta environment is overridden by the production environment during this time. Now, to access the beta environment, all you need to do is add the word beta in between your institution and the Instructure domain name. What I'll do here is I'll just share my screen so you'll have a good view of what I'm talking about. So here you'll include the word beta in between your instance name and the Instructure domain. And lastly, for those of you that use an authentication method other than Canvas, you have to remember that you need to add an additional login under your user profile that actually uses the Canvas authentication. And to gain access, you can actually use the same URL, but also include the /login/Canvas URL. And my example is by using this URL to gain access to Canvas authentication. And you'll know you're in the beta instance because there'll be a red or a pinkish banner running across the browser window at the bottom. Back to you, Paul.
No worries. I like to call it salmon. Salmon colored.
Salmon.
Yeah, the beta environment is really, really great for testing out new features that are coming out as well. It's where we do our testing of new features, so you get a sneak preview, and we actually like getting your feedback on those new features before they come out. So getting involved in the community and giving that feedback when we come out with the release notes for those features is really, really helpful. All right, let me share my screen again. All right, global announcements for institution-wide alerts. This is from our colleague Candace, I think. Oh, maybe Tori. No, it was Tori. It is Tori. I'm going to hand over to you, Tori.
Thanks, Paul. I'm just trying to share here. Not allowing me to share from your end.
Try now.
There we go. All right, can you see my Canvas account here?
Perfect.
Great. All right, so the first one that we're looking at is institution-wide announcement. So I've come into my own Canvas account here at the global setting, so the global level or the root level, down to settings on the left-hand side and across to announcements up the top here. And the benefit of this is something like there's been a fire in your building, or there's been an urgent item that you need to get out to all of your students or people that are coming on site, whether it be further ed as well. And you might want to alert them with an announcement that, you know, something's changed, or provide them with the information that goes to everyone at once. There's a couple of different ways that I've used this in the past, and I'll just show you sort of how to do it to start with. Just remembering that global does mean global, like every course, every student, every user that logs into your Canvas instance will see this global announcement, depending on the settings that you provide. But let's say, for example, in the year of COVID last year, you could say campus closed, because we did have a few of those down here in Melbourne where I'm from. The announcement type is an information, error, warning, or a question. I'm going to leave it as information, and you can type in here some information or text about, you know, campus closed due to COVID. Thanks, COVID, and then say, yeah, all classes now online, or whatever it might be. So you can type in there whatever text. You can make use of the rich content editor and all the funky things you can do with that. I won't do much today. And then you can, down here, like what Adam was talking about with the help menu, you can actually customize who does see that. So globally, you're not worried about doing it per course, but globally you can say every teacher, student, anyone who kind of is coming into the campus, even the parent-teacher interviews that are going on tonight, we want them to all be aware that the campus is closed. Give it a start and end date, pop it in here, and you can also send them a notification directly as well. So it's kind of covering all bases. You'd use this for those urgent items or announcements that you want to send out, and then I can publish that as well. So coming up, once I've published it, I'll show you where you see it. It's a really good one. At a previous organisation I worked at, we kind of did a bit of a Christmas greeting, and, you know, wished everyone a Merry Christmas through this. And you can see here that these are my history of global announcements. But if I come back into my dashboard here, sorry, my NBN to Adam must be a bit slow. It'll sit up on the, sorry. Yeah, it'll sit up on the top banner here, and I've got a couple of examples, but I can just, as a user, I can, once I've read it once, I can get rid of it again, or I can leave it in there, and just as a reminder for myself. So it is up to the user once they see it to dismiss or leave it there for the duration of that global announcement, but a really good way to communicate with your users.
Awesome.
Any questions?
Nope.
Cool.
Very
Did you want me to
clear.
go straight to the next one, if that's?
Yeah, I think it is still you. Let me just quickly share my screen so we know what we're talking about.
Cool.
All right, so this one's a bit of an awesome one. We've got a whole heap of links to resources there. So modified grading schemes and how you can use those in your Canvas instance. Take it away.
Cool. All right, we'll go back. So hang on. You've just lost me. There we go. Okay, so modifying grading schemes. This is a great one, and I take it from a bit of a vocational training standpoint because I sort of quite enjoy that area. That is my my history, or previous life, I should say. So here, where we're looking at grading schemes, coming into the root account level settings here again, and you can look at. Lost my train of thought. There we are. You can look at the grading area here. The example that I'm providing today, as I said, is linked to VET. So you can look at grading periods. You can set up different dates and time ranges for the periods. What we're looking at here is the grading schemes. So an example that I've put in here from the vocational training space is saying this is a unit grade, and I'm using the terms that are currently used in vocational training, competent or not yet competent, for a unit level result. Or sometimes some people use the word continuing if they're still, they've deferred that unit or they're continuing on with study. And you can customize the grading ranges over here. And I'll show you how to do it in a moment. But in the vocational space, we only accept 100% as competent. So you can put the range there that once someone achieves 100%, they get competent, as opposed to an A, B, C, D sort of grading scheme. So that's an example here. You can customize all of that. That was just me popping in something to show you. If I add a grading scheme, this is the example that you're provided with, but I might want to at a task level. So again, unit of competency type stuff here for vocational training. I might look at a task level and say, at a task level, I'm either satisfactory. So you could say SAT, or you could say, not yet satisfactory. And then you can customize at a task level again for vocational training. Typically it's 100% for the task level being satisfactory, and what the level is, or the range for not yet satisfactory, or any other grading options that you have available. So if you can extrapolate that out into your own circumstances in further education or corporate training, you may have other names that you term, as a result type for your users. You could put that in here, and just instead of them receiving the ABC, they'll see their actual proper grade for the setting that you're in. Customize your point ranges or your percentage ranges across there, and delete those that you don't need. And then you can then apply those grading schemes to assessment tasks or to various areas of your course as well. Save that, not finished, but away you go. So just another little tip and trick to make it a little bit more specific for your organisation.
Awesome. Thanks, Tori. All right, hopefully we're getting a little bit of gold out of what we've done so far. Yeah, I love the change of the grading schemes. You can even have emojis as your grading scheme if you like. It can get really fun. So that's really great for junior school and things like that, or for university, that's fine. So it's up to you. Let me dive back in. And next up is Rio with something that's secret, not so secret, maybe a secret to you so far in your Canvas journey.
Thanks, Paul. Let me just share.
Is this where we stop recording, or?
There we go. No, we can record this. I'm sure it'll be fine. All right, so I've got a couple of tips. So the first one was the delete. So if I go to my module, as teachers, mistakes happen. As an admin, you can sometimes delete things. So a lot of people don't know this, but say, let's just delete this particular page. I just accidentally did that. Now, if I was to kind of not know about this, I would probably call support, and calling support is probably the right thing to do here. But if you want a quick result and you're in a rush or something like that, there is the undelete option. Now, as the slide mentioned, it is very much an unsupported, I guess, sorry, undelete. Sorry, I forgot to.
I think you took the course number out.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot what course it was. It is an unsupported feature. So let's just have a look. Why isn't that coming through?
And this is why it's unsupported. So it doesn't always work. So if it is something that has been accidentally deleted and you don't see it there, it is not officially supported, but sometimes you might get lucky, which is why we had that big red disclaimer on the slide that it's not officially supported and your mileage may vary. And this is, I'm so glad that this happened, Rio, because we can demonstrate your mileage definitely does vary when you use this feature.
So I've never actually done it right after the fact. So there may be maybe a delay or something like that in processing that. So just keep that in mind. If there is something that a teacher is kind of shouting and screaming, just try that. And if that's not there, then you can always raise a ticket with support. But it's a good one to kind of have up your sleeve. I might just jump in straight into the second one, if that's okay.
Perfect.
So the next one is more of an LTI. So if I click on settings, so as you know, LTIs can be set up at the root account level, the sub-account level, or the course level. So as teachers, you can also add some apps and things like that. Depending on some of the permission settings that you have within your organization. So if I click on View App Center, I'm going to look up redirect. So some people may have heard of this particular tool, but it is a very well used tool. So I'm just going to click on Add, And you've got the option to name the tool. So in this case, I'm going to put in CS APAC. And the page that I'm going to use is a Confluence page, our team Confluence page. And I've got a couple of options here. So force open in new tab. So if you click on the button, essentially it opens up a new tab and goes to that particular web page. So really useful just in terms of quick links and things like that that you might have that you want to kind of refer in within your course so that it goes to another page. I'm going to actually use show in course navigation. You've also got show in account navigation. So it'll show up in the account bar. And then there's also an option to show it up in the user navigation. So if you click on your user profile, there'll be a menu item there that appears where you can kind of redirect them to certain pages like you know, Google websites or something like that. All right, so I'm just going to add that. And, all right, so if I refresh the page, right, so if I click on this now, and this is within the course, basically what it does is embed the page within Canvas so that it looks and feels like it's within Canvas, but essentially it's a separate and it's just iframed in. So for those things that don't have LTI tools, you know, like web pages and apps that don't have LTI tools, it might be worth kind of just trying this out. Sometimes it doesn't work depending on the application because they might block off iframing, but you know, it's worth trying out. And if it does, you know, it appears seamlessly, and it's just another thing that lives within Canvas where students don't have to kind of venture out. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful for you. Yeah,
that's great. Paul. Yeah, and if it doesn't work, then you just tick that box that says forced to open in a new tab. And it'll just open up a new tab instead of trying to include it on the Canvas page. That way you just have easy access. I should mention the redirect tool is the #1 used tool out of all the LTI tools installed across every Canvas worldwide. It is such a popular tool, and hopefully you can see from Rio's demo why it is popular, because you're essentially just bringing in whatever content you like from other websites into Canvas, or just making a nice easy link to external content, even if it opens up in a new tab. So nice and easy way of adding in that extra detail. All right. So Google Maps in calendar events. Let me just, I'm going to stop my share and reshare because this has a video, and I'm going to share my sound, and I'm going to optimize for video when I share this stuff. Because we have the lovely Connie sharing her video with us.
Hey everyone, so I'm going to show you a tip that a lot of teachers and trainers like to use when they are using the Canvas calendar. The Canvas calendar is just over here inside of your global navigation bar. One of my favorite tools. You can do so much with it, color coding, etc., etc. You can find a lot of things about the calendar and its uses in the Canvas community. Now, the one that I'm going to show you that not a lot of people know about is how you can actually get an active Google Maps embedded into your actual event. So if I go into one of my events here, so for example, the excursion to the Science Museum, it just has calendar location. If I go ahead and I choose another one, perhaps this one, you can actually see that there is a screenshot, there's a hyperlink and a YouTube video. There's a lot of different things you can add inside of a Canvas calendar event. I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. Let's go ahead and make one. It's nearly February, so let's go. I have an excursion to the zoo for Biology 101. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's do it on the 17th of February. And so you just go ahead and call it an excursion to the zoo. I got that populated from, let's say, 9 a.m. till 3. The location I can put Taronga Zoo there, and calendar is obviously going to be my biology course. So I'll go ahead and press submit there, and I have it. Then when I go ahead and click it, I can go ahead and press edit back to this page and more options. So obviously in this place, you can put instructions. So you can say, we are going to study animals. Yeah, and then you can go ahead and, put a hyperlink to whatever is relevant. Don't actually think that's a real website, but I'm just showing you that you can hyperlink. Now, what I want to show you is how you can actually put the Google Maps here. So you can say, so in order to do that, you need to go into Google Maps. So that's where I am now. And I'm just going to go ahead and look up Taronga Zoo. You can see it zooms up to that location. And I'm going to go ahead and press this share button here. So it should just go right here. You can see share. And very important is not to press send a link or copy a link. You actually want to embed a map. It's the second tab option. And you want to copy the HTML. So I'm going to go ahead and press copy HTML. Go back into my Canvas calendar, the event that I'm editing, and you want to go into HTML. So I'm going to go ahead and press the bottom at the this button at the bottom of the rich content editor, the new rich content editor, switch to HTML editor, and I'm just going to paste it. When I return, you'll see that it's there and people can actually zoom in with it. Let me go ahead and just press update the event. Okay, so now it's presses excursion to the zoo. You can actually see you can zoom in, zoom out as well. So pretty cool feature, and I hope you enjoy that.
All right. So it looks like we may have an issue. People are having an issue with seeing the video. So what we might do is, instead of playing the video again for the other ones for Connie, sorry, Connie, we won't be able to do that live, but we will share this with you with the resources that that we're going to share after the webinar. So when we send through the link to the page where we're going to upload all the resources, we'll have these videos from Connie there as well, so that you can access these. Message Student 2 is fantastic as well. Let me just stop sharing for a second so that I can get to the right place here. And I'll reshare my screen just so that I'm not optimizing for video anymore. Okay. So Message Student Who is a fantastic feature. We're not going to dive into it, as I said. Also, YouTube videos from a certain timestamp in the video was the next one that Connie was going to share. We'll share those videos with you, as I mentioned earlier. And next up is me. So I'm going to be talking about the new rich content editor and some of the things that you can do in there that you may not be aware of. With the new updates to the rich content editor, things are a little bit easier. It's a smoother workflow, and you have more workspace to work in the rich content editor. So I'm going to go and bring up a course where I have a teacher enrolled. And hopefully you can all see that there. Perfect. And I'm just on the homepage of this course. You may recognize this from a prior webinar that I did. Actually, this might have been my CanvasCon presentation. I think it was. So I'm going to edit this page. And we have the rich content editor. And Connie, in her video, she showed you how to embed a Google map into Canvas, and she went into the HTML view. So I'm going to go into that view right now. And one thing you'll notice is this view, if you've used it before, has been recently updated in the last release. It's now the pretty HTML version. And it means if you've ever done any coding, you can see that we've got paragraph tags here. We've got image tags. It's much easier to edit any code in the HTML editor now than it used to be. So now that we have a pretty HTML editor. So I'm going to click on that button again. It's going to take me back into the regular editor. Now she went into, oh, let me go back in there. What she did is she just went to the bottom of the page where she was currently editing to be able to add in that Google map and just paste the embed code right at the end here, just in the map, in the HTML. But what if you want to put it in a specific place on the page and you don't know any coding? Well, instead of trying to figure it out and think, oh, where in the code do I put this so that it sits in the right place? You can go back to the regular view, and there's this little button on the very end of the editor now called embed. And you can click on that embed button and just put the code in there, and it will place it wherever you currently have your cursor. So if I want to put it right there, it will embed whatever it is, whether it's a YouTube video or a Vimeo video or Google Map or wherever you've got any embed code from, and it will embed it right where you've got your cursor. You just paste the code in and you're done. So that's really cool. Another place where you'll actually find that is up in the menus up the top. Now, these menus have actually always been there in the content editor, even with the old rich content editor, but you had to use a keyboard a keyboard shortcut to access the menu there. But now it's 100% visible all the time. And in this menu, there's actually some extra things that aren't necessarily in the regular menu items. So one of those is, again, the embed thing, but you'll also notice horizontal line. A simple horizontal line is a nice way of breaking up content on your page, as just one example. But also look at all these formatting options that you have here in the menus in the rich content editor. So there's heaps and heaps of extra formatting. We can change fonts, do all sorts of really great things in there with the formatting. There's also a word count tool right there, and all of your table options are there. If you prefer the menus, it's a great way of doing it. And I think the rest of the stuff most people are probably familiar with because, well, actually before the new RCE was turned on for everyone, it used to be a single button, but now by default, the left-hand side of each button is the default action. If you click on the little caret, that little arrow next to that, that will give you a drop down to do the other options that are available there instead of just the default option. So instead of just upload or record media, you've also got uploading course media or user media directly from your files in Canvas. So you can go directly to it there instead of going through an extra screen for the most common things that you do for these particular items. All right. So that was the things I was going to go through in the rich content editor. We've got a whole heap of links here for you to explore even further on your own. All right, so announcements on course homepage. So this is the one that actually came from Candace. Tori actually showed you global announcements and how you can make that appear on your dashboard, but you can actually make course announcements appear on your homepage of your course. It's actually it's almost like a hidden setting in your course settings that allows you to do that. So I'm just going to jump back into that course I was in just now. I'm not going to save that page. And if I go into the settings, and in the course details, so there's a whole bunch of tabs up here, but if I go to course details and scroll down to the bottom, there's this little link that you may miss. It says more options. If you click on that, you've got extra stuff that's available to you in the settings, stuff that you might not necessarily turn on. So you can turn on self-enrollment, and you can hide totals and student marks. There's all sorts of really good stuff in there. But there's also a can't actually see where this is gone. Maybe I don't have this permission turned on for this particular teacher.
It's above. Keep going. Shut there.
Right, where? Oh,
Yeah.
it's right in front of my face. Okay, thanks, Sue. This is why we have Sue. Yeah, show recent announcements on the course homepage. We can tick that and we can choose how many of the most recent announcements show on the course homepage. I should put my glasses on. Oh, that's so funny. What are these sessions without a little bit of humor mixed in? All right, before I dig myself any further, I'm going to go on to the next slide because that's all there is to that. Sue time. Thank you, Sue. And I'm going to hand it over to you. Good luck.
Thank you. You can watch me. Make sure I don't stuff up too. How much time have we got? Because I've got quite a few on there. What time are we finishing?
You've got 13
We'll give you
minutes,
about
Sue.
13 minutes. Okay.
13.
All right. I might pick a bit of a random order then.
We'll tell you when you've had enough.
Oh, thanks. When I've had enough.
When we've had enough.
Okay, so take a mental note of those. I'm going to come back in and out of a few of them. We'll start with assignment groups, and then I might jump into rubrics, quiz data, and then probably things around chunking content, and then we'll see how we go from there. And recording instructions for high stakes assessments. We'll do a bit of a move around. I'm just going to take over the screen. Okay. Everyone still see my screen? Give me a thumbs up, panelists. That good? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so this one is something that I see typically not happening in schools, but my background's K-12, so I do a lot of school examples. But if you're in a different sector, it's still obviously really important. To get the gradebook marking effective as most effectively as possible, it's worth having a look if you're in a school at your assessment schedule, which you should see on screen, like a sort of typical assessment schedule. This one's for Year 7 English. And typically in school, we've got our tasks. There is a percentage weighting at the bottom, and often the tasks are marked out of a different mark to what the percentage is that adds up to the yearly percentage of 100. There's a couple of ways of doing this when you're trying to actually use your mark book so that only the things that are, I guess, reportable tasks are adding up to the 100. And if you're just making assignments and you're not either pressing do not count to final mark, if it's just classwork, homework, or coursework, that sort of thing, then every time you do that, it's going to obviously put a mark in the mark book that's going to keep affecting the grade as you go throughout the whole year. And so students won't really have an overall picture of how they're actually doing in those reportable tasks. So another way of doing it is actually using your assignment groups. So if I go into my assignments tab here, it's actually using your assignment groups to set up a percentage weighting on them. So if you can see, I'll just zoom in a little bit. Here's my summative assignments for each term. And this one's obviously marked out of 23, but Canvas will convert it into a mark out of 20% for you if you've weighted the groups. And so I have 4 groups, one for each term. I have my tasks in there. You can see that obviously this one there's 2 tasks, they're out of different marks, but again, I'm going to get a weighted mark out of 30. It's all going to add up beautifully to that 100% for me. And any student in this course is going to keep seeing that mark, keeping weighting. Now, you can't weight an individual task, unfortunately. It does have to be part of a group. So if you want, you'll have to set up a group, essentially, as I've done here. I've got one group with just one task in it, and then I weight the group. So to do that, you just come over to this little kebab menu over here, press on there, and you're going to actually put on the assignment groups if you haven't done it before, and you put it on there, and you'll be able to then add weighting to them. Now, the only sort of downside of this is that you're going to have a group that's not weighted then, unless you're using sort of formative assessment tasks as part of your final reportable grade. I know some schools do. So you will have classwork tasks maybe that are weighted at 0% of that final grade, but it doesn't take away from the actual point value of those in-class tasks and things like that. So that then, if you look at the syllabus page, that's then actually going to show students down the side, down the side what the weighting is for the tasks. And then you'll be able to also, when they look into their marks, it's going to cumulatively grow into that yearly grade. So that's my first one on assignment groups. Second one, let's go to recording instructions for high stakes assessments. I'm just going to pick from this list now. One of the things I love to do is making sure that every student in my care understands the actual nature of the task, particularly if it's a high stakes task. And you know, on any day within a classroom, if you're sort of working in a blended environment, you're going to see that students are away. Typically, if anyone's joining us from a school, you know, that day when you give out the notification, you've got to write on top of the printed notification all the students that weren't there that day to catch up with them to give that to them later. So obviously Canvas takes a lot of that legwork away because you can put the notification online. The assignment itself can act as the notification for an assessment task. But that still doesn't necessarily get across your instructions that you might want to make sure that every student in the class has an equitable experience. So the way to do that, there's two different ways. I've got two different examples to show you. This is an assessment task where I have made a studio video to go with it. And so everybody would be able to follow my instructions using this studio video. We've got comments throughout. I've got another persona as Susie Temlet, and there's a penny portfolio in here and a Coco K, and they're all asking questions of about this particular video. But they can go back, they can play this again. It's a 10-minute video on how to write an essay and how I want this particular essay on Animal Farm to be. And it's, you know, it's going to give them all the material they need. I'm going to stop having to repeat myself, and anybody not there on the day is going to be able to access that. That's a bit of a more formal way of doing it. A quicker way, if you don't have Studio, a different way of doing it is this way. So you've got the task here. Again, this is a formal assessment task. You can see my outcomes and everything like this. But if I was, this little video here is literally just dropped in using the video, the upload media tool in the rich content editor. So let me just edit this one for you. Again, super simple to get anybody to do, just for that kind of equity and get your instructions across. You know, there's so much content to get through that you don't want to keep repeating yourself. So for this one, to get that little video in, all you would need to do is find where you want it to go on the page. Go to this media tool here, upload, record media. You're going to press on that. It's going to open this little box for me. I'm going to press record, and you'll see duplicates of me now. And you just press record. We'll do a little demo so you can see exactly how unfrightening it is. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. Okay, kids, class, this is what we need to do for this particular assessment, blah, blah, blah. And we'd go through, I would literally save it, and hopefully, because that's super short, it's going to render it straight away for me into my rich content editor. And then, you know, anyone's got any questions, you should hopefully have covered it off in there. So I think that's a great one for making sure that everyone has got the same message and received the same information. Okay, how am I doing? Time. One more. I think I'm going to go to, I'll try and do 2, data-driven teaching. Super, love this one. Let me find an example for you. So I know a lot of you would be using quizzes to, you know, obviously check for understanding. So this is a sort of formative assessment idea. You know, low stakes, but for me as the teacher to see how my class is going and what I need to reteach, what groups I need to make, etc. So I've got a science example here. I wouldn't probably even be able to take this quiz because I'm not a scientist, not really great, my forte. But here we go to the quiz statistics. And yeah, you're going to have this breakdown in real time. I'm using classic quizzes for this one. But the sort of nugget of gold is when you go to quiz statistics, if you haven't ever sort of visited that area and you're just kind of getting the marks in your mark book, then certainly go back to the quiz, click on quiz statistics, because this is where you'll form your groups of who's got it and who hasn't. And here you're going to go, okay, you know, you're going to see patterns develop with your students. So if I click on this one, I've got 16 students in this group here who get it. Okay, they've got that one. Let's have a look who's not quite got it. I've got a few students here. So maybe I can start looking, does Coco K and Bill Blend and Camille and George, are they appearing anywhere else? Let's see the students who got it wrong here. Oh, Coco again and George again. Okay, so poor Coco. Need to keep having a look at how Coco's going, so this particular thing, oh, Bill's got that one wrong and Jane here. So I can begin to start forming like a little remediation group, I guess, from them. And also I'd be able to be quite confirmed that the other students understood exactly what it is that I was trying to teach them. And my final one, I'm going to just go quickly into account level rubrics, because my pet hate is reinventing the wheel. All right, so all of you will know your academic staff, your teaching staff, so under the pump to just get through content. So if you can provide them with rubrics that are either institutional based or even department based at their particular sub account or the account level, then it saves each one of them reinventing the wheel. So if you have generic rubrics, so for example, I'm in my actual root account now of this particular instance, and I'm at account level rubrics. And for this one, for example, I have a essay writing rubric that incidentally I've been using since 2017 when I first created it. So it's like my go-to. I made it, took a bit of making, as you can see, but I made it generic. And so every time I want an essay now, throw this one out. I don't need to make it again. My whole department would keep using this one again, because it's just, it will fit every task. It doesn't need to be made into a specifics for an assignment. You've got a class that's going on, just doing an essay, great, here's your rubric. So to make rubrics at that level, you're in the account admin, you're coming down, go to rubrics, and then you start putting in rubrics there, which people can obviously use, and saves everybody reinventing the wheel. And that's me done.
Awesome.
I think. All right.
So good. Yeah, and related to that, in there you can also add outcomes to rubrics, and we highly recommend, if you're creating outcomes that are going to be used across courses or just in general, as a general rule, create them at the account level, like Sue was saying. But there's even more reasons on the outcome side. Anyway, that wasn't in the slide deck. That's a bonus. All right, we're pretty much out of time for much Q&A. We've got like 1 minute left, but if anyone has any really burning questions that you want to ask any of the panelists, feel free to jump in and do that now.
Yeah, I'm happy to kind of stick around if we've got lots of questions coming through. So, all right, so we've got a couple. So with the calendar demo right now, is this for recorded videos only that you can embed via live Zoom meeting? Who wants to take that one?
Recorded videos only that embed versus
Adam, you said that you're going to answer this live.
I answered it. I put it up there because I couldn't answer it.
I see. So with the account, is this for recorded videos only that you can embed versus a live Zoom meeting?
I think what you're trying to articulate there is that they need to click on the Zoom link and then go out of Zoom. So you could put the link to the Zoom meeting in the calendar request, and then they would click on that and they would open Zoom separately. If there is a recording after that you'd want to put in, you'd probably want to, if you've got Studio or something, that upload that into Studio and then put that as maybe a discussion or put that somewhere back in your course. So I think what you're trying to do there is that you're trying to jump two different ships there. Michelle, please feel free to get involved in the chat if we have answered that incorrectly. But I think there's an extra step both ways that you'll need to do for that. Now that I think about it, I couldn't understand the concept of the question, but now I've had time to think about it. I think that's what you're implying.
All right. Okay. Changing to Microsoft Teams as a default conferencing option. We don't have a timeline yet. That's currently being worked on with our engineers at Microsoft. So yeah, but it is something that has been announced and is being worked on.
Yeah,
but we don't have a definite date yet.
Everyone will be knowing via, we'll be one of the first groups to actually share that. And you can also keep up to date with things in the community as well. But we'll obviously do our best to make sure that you're on top of that as soon as it comes out.
Jason, hopefully Sue answered that, and she may not have in her one about account level rubrics, but you can, if you do have sub accounts set up inside of your Canvas instance, you can do it at the sub account level. So if you've got a mathematics sub account or an English sub account, you can have just English rubrics in the English sub account. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And if not, you could always make a course where you enroll your teachers to that course where the rubrics are. So if you don't have the sub account set up, you can always make a course for English teachers, put all the rubrics in there, and they'll be able to view them in your other way.
Perfect. All right, I think that's probably about all that we had time for, unless there's anything else. I think we'll probably wrap it up there. All right. So thank you everyone for attending our webinar today. And yeah, we will, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be putting up the resources for the things that we shared today on the community, and we'll share that out via email the same way that you received the email invite for the webinar. And we look forward to seeing you all in the not too distant future. Thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
And just, sorry, just before you all bail, some people ask, is this being recorded? Yes, it is being recorded. You will get a copy of all this probably, hopefully tomorrow. Depends on how well we get through our inboxes in the next 24 hours.
All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.